Welcome back, everyone. As we dive into episode 2 of In the Waiting Room, I can't help but think about how these conversations keep reminding me of where it all started. Talking to Zoey Martinson, who's a powerhouse of knowledge about acting, producing, and directing, really brought me back to why I chose this path. When I first stumbled into the theater back in high school, after a bit of a detour and a rough start in ninth grade, I realized that this was where I was meant to be. It was that spark of performing live, that discovery that never really stops. And then choosing NYU for grad school, well, that was like coming full circle. NYU was my only choice because I'd seen so many people from that program who just blew me away on stage and screen. Watching them approach the work with that level of artistry and joy made me think, that's where I need to be, and that's how I want to grow. So here we are, having these conversations that bring a renewed energy into why we do what we do. It's about remembering that it's not just about the job, it's about the fun, the growth, and the endless discovery. And that's exactly what Zoe and I dive into today. Take a listen. Welcome to In the Waiting Room, a podcast that invites professionally trained actors, especially those from institutions like NYU, Juilliard, and Yale, to sit down and speak candidly about life between the big breaks. It's a space for honest conversations about faith, craft, career, family, failure, identity, reinvention, and the quiet resilience it takes to keep showing up when the spotlight dims. This podcast was born out of my personal journey from a troubled high schooler finding purpose in theater to a discouraged undergrad who nearly quit acting, to a seasoned NYU trained performer who's booked meaningful roles but still finds himself in the waiting room of the industry. So come along on this journey as we speak to actors across the broad spectrum of theater, TV, film, producing, directing, you name it. This is In the Waiting Room with Rashad Edwards. Had a 20-year career, and I'm counting right after undergrad, and then seeing the shit from coming from undergrad to taking a 10-year period of working here in New York, and then deciding to go to grad school. And then it's been 9 years now since I graduated.
Every year, because you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if I should say the year I graduated, because you're like, damn,
Yeah.
I'm old now.
Right. And just the life that has happened in that 9-year period has been like no other.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to, see how others have experienced their time out. So I've been talking to a lot of people who I thought were at least doing much, much better than I have been doing. I haven't worked probably in 3 years since I've had my last gig, but that's okay. It's okay and it's not okay because busy with other things, not creatively like I want to be, because sometimes I feel like what's the point of investing so much time when you don't have it and you're not making a return on the investment? So that's my question for you is, you've had a different sort of career. You went to grad acting, but you do less. Do you do less acting?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, is it fair to say?
yeah, kind of.
And why did you decide to do that?
I didn't go into grad acting because I was thinking of myself as an actor. I went into grad acting because I got a fellowship to go to grad acting, and I didn't get a fellowship to go to grad film.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get any money, and I couldn't afford to go to NYU unless I got a fellowship or a scholarship or something. So Zelda Chandler kind of sat me down and was like, we try and give a departmental fellowship to people who aren't necessarily acting focused, And she gave me some names of people of the past, you know, that also came out, and none of them were really like Tony Cushing. Like, none of them were really like, I'm an actor anymore, you know? So I kind of was like, well, I don't know why. I was like excited to do it. It terrified me to train as an actor a bit. It was scary, but I think in my first year, I was really up against the fact that like I could feel the difference in myself and my classmates, like how badly they wanted to be here as actors and succeed as actors, and how much I don't think I had the same drive, you know? And so I didn't question more, but I think it gave me a calmness about the training. You know, like I didn't see it as kind of like I have to win or I have to succeed. I just like kind of like I have to just train and try, you know, because I already felt like I was coming in at a deficit a bit. And that, I think, maybe annoyed my classmates a little bit, but it gave me kind of a peace of mind about like I just had, and a lot of teachers said it, they're like, you just feel like like if I failed, it wasn't like the kind of failure that was crushing, you know, like it was just like, oh, I didn't do that well. I'm gonna try the next time. And I just had and it probably gave me a better experience being here, that I didn't have that kind of attachment to it.
Do you feel like people wanted you to experience?
Yes, I think they were just like, how come it's easier for her to fail? But no one said it like that. It's only in hindsight that I can look at it and say, oh, I think people were annoyed at how, and it wasn't that I didn't care. I don't think they thought I didn't care. I think they thought, well, how easy it is for her to not succeed at something and then kind of just be like, all right, I'm going to try again, you know? And like, I wasn't crying in the hallways because I got notes on a scene. I wasn't, you know, like I was just like, all right. But I think I expected to get notes on the scene. It's like I wasn't expecting to be good. So it took maybe a little bit of the pressure off. And anytime I was cast in something, I just saw it as being fun. You know, like it was exciting to get to play things, even if I knew I might not have been, or I always kind of felt like I wasn't as good, but it just felt fun to take on quirky characters and things that were very much outside of ourselves. Because when I went here, they always cast you as the thing that you couldn't do well, you know, as opposed to the thing you had in your bag. So I found that really fun. It's like, I would have not auditioned for this role. Like, what is it? You know, let me figure it out. So it kind of just gave an excitement to it and a quirky energy. Yeah, I just didn't have the level of pressure.
So many actors find it restricting when they have to play something that they're not good at.
Yeah.
In the program, I mean.
Yeah, but I kind of assumed I wasn't going to be good at a lot, you know, and I think that kind of came in and allowed me to maybe be a little more open and a little more risky. And then also the fact that, like, at that point, we were not doing it for an audience. So it's like, well, I mean,
who's this for? It's for me.
Yeah, like, I have no public failure here. Just fail in front of my classmates who are also failing, you know? I don't know. I think
that's like, wasn't that part of the philosophy is like, just get used to failing, like be okay.
I think, yes. Now looking back, like when I did the Jim Calder thing, I saw his class through different lens. Like his class is to basically teach people how to fail, in quotations, get used to failing and get excited about making a new proposal. And so it's like when you're watching the students go through it, he's not letting you in on that part of the training, right? He wants you to think there's a success of this. You know, and that you're just not getting there. And then he applies the pressure. Go, try it, you know. And everyone's like, oh, and it's getting used to that feeling. But ultimately, he never has a success. There's no succeeding at his tasks. You know, he's setting you up for impossible tasks that there is no winning or succeeding at, you know. And so there are literally different exercises to force people into a position where they have to get used to making a proposal, assessing whether it works or not, and then making a new proposal and getting excited about doing that process over and over and over again. And that's all his class is. When I learned that, I was like, oh.
And when did you learn that?
When I came back and I did that, like, mentorship teacher apprentice, what is it?
The diversity.
I think it was on your class.
Yeah, you were. The diversity mentorship, diversity faculty mentorship program. It's I think it's made its way back. And I don't know how it's going, but I think that was useful during our time
Yeah, I was like, that is
to
fascinating. It
be
made
on
me a
the other
better
side.
director.
Yeah.
Like I was like, like even now, I think after doing that class, I've approached the process of an actor, like assisting an actor through the process much differently
Mm.
and with more tools to
Yeah.
kind of help them through.
Are you a director, producer, actor, or what's your title?
What would I say? I would say director,
Hmm.
writer, and then I have to produce at times because I have like, I don't I have to, yeah, just because the nature of the jobs are small money or so,
Hmm.
I don't love the producing side of it, but I've done it a lot because I have a company.
Why don't you love it?
Oh, it's just so much work.
You don't like to work a lot?
No, it's just like different kind of work. It's not the necessary. I don't know. Good producers are incredible. They deserve the awards. They do. Like it's such a total job.
So are you like just managing a lot of people and things?
Well, I think the reason is that usually I'm producing on projects that are mine.
Hmm.
And so I'm already doing that as a director and or as a writer. And it's just exhausting to also have to now behind the scenes do the logistics of getting it out into the world.
Hmm.
So it's exhausting. I think if I was doing it on a project I'm not doing any other role, it maybe would be more enjoyable.
Hmm. And you've had an opportunity to direct TV.
Yeah.
What was that? How did that differ from your film experience?
It took me a very long time to make a feature.
Hmm.
I had been in different processes with studios and they didn't go to the finish line. So I'd been in development or I'd been in writing process or I'd been in prep. And then at different points, the studio controls it. Like either the project went under because the studio got rid of that division or project stopped because we went on a strike. Like it just like wasn't succeeding and it's so out of your hands. So to finally get the opportunity to kind of independently make a feature, I was very excited for, which is backwards because I had already been in a directing process for television a few times. So I'd started directing in television before I ever got to make a feature film, even though I had started processes of making features with studios. And then the but the first thing I did was write for TV.
Like you were in a writing room?
I was a writer for Betty on HBO, and
Oh.
then I was the writer on set. So it was like that was the first like television's job. I think I had, yeah, I think so. And then before that, I was shadowing as a director for HBO. So I was, or they call it visiting director, but you're basically coming on watching like a director. They pay you for it, and then you learn the directing process for television
Hmm.
because it's fast and you can't really learn on the job successfully. You'll probably fail and cost them money because there's no space in television directing to not deliver, because it's fast. And so I did that. And then I actually worked as a writer on TV and then I started directing television.
So if you were to go back and connect the dots, how did you get here today with
Theater. I started writing theater and directing theater. I was assistant directing and I kind of sat down and looked at the trajectory and I was like, I can either keep assisting and then I'll start like kind of getting into the sphere of like, a lot of my friends now that are doing it that stayed with the assisting are now kind of directing off Broadway and Broadway and I directed off Broadway. And then I was kind of like, had a lot of student loan debt. I just didn't know how to pay it off. And I just kind of looked at the life of a director and thought that it's like you just don't earn too much money. And I knew musicals were probably not commercial, are there commercials, and so there's more money to make but I didn't see myself really getting those or moving into that space. So I think I made the call and I was like, that's it. I'm going to stop and I'm going to 180 switch into television.
Mm.
So it felt a little like I stepped backwards, like I'd been building towards something and then I just stopped it and then started from scratch in a whole new arena, which kind of sucked because I felt a little old, like I was like, I wish I had the direction coming out the gate because I would have like just started there and then built from, but I don't think it was for naught. I think the directing stage and directing readings and workshops and writing for stage ultimately got me kind of validated my ability to do television.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the fact that I had written theater. When I got television, I was like, listen, I've never written television. And they're like, you've written plays. They're much harder. I was like, really? Oh my gosh. And then literally I started working and I was like, oh yes, they're much harder. Like it's not as, there's a whole collective mind behind television, so it's like someone will fix it. If it's not you, like if you come in and you're like, I just can't solve this, someone will come in with 5 ideas, like 5 different people will throw out ideas and you'll figure something out, because we're all creative. So it's easier in that regard. And then structurally it's easier than sitting alone as a playwright trying to sort out everything and creating worlds that people can't see and having to articulate them. People have to say them without sounding like they're speaking subtext. It's hard, so
Yeah.
they were right. Yeah.
So how did you get into that door? Were you already in the space and you knew some people, you made a call,
No, I came out of here, did a free play. I thought my free play was good because people told me it was good and I believed them. So I was like, let me expand it, make it a play. I kickstarted it. I got about $3,000 or $4,000. We put it in the Fringe, the New York Fringe. We rehearsed it at Studio Tisch for the free space.
Nice.
And then the Fringe went up. It won the Fringe. And then it went into the Encore series. More in the Encore series, people saw it because it won. And then that opened up A, commissions as a playwright, and B, an off-Broadway run for it. So then it went into, back when 59 was like a producing entity, it went into 59 East 59th Street and went up at Lincoln Center Performing Arts as opposed to the theater. It went around the world. And it opened up all these doors as a writer. And I got commissioned to write new things as a playwright. And then because I also direct, I was directing readings as well on the side and, and doing all those things as well.
At that moment, do you feel like you had made it?
No, because I came out of NYU, I got an agent. I was very worried at the time about getting an agent because it was the recession. So we were being told no one's going to really get signed. So I wrote my own scenes because the scenes they were giving me were like, at that point, they didn't have a lot of options for Black women. And I didn't feel like any of them was a reflection of what I would bring to the industry. So, and then also the amazing plays had been done 50 million times. Like everyone's done every August Wilson scene. So as soon as someone starts that in a showcase, I already knew like, they're already like, oh, I know this scene, right? 50 million, so I was like, I'm not going to do those. I'm not going to do, Lorraine Hansberry. I'm not going to do any of this stuff because it's just been done. And so I just wrote my own scenes. That got me a very big mid-size agent out of my class because of the fact that they were like, you wrote these,
right. Yeah.
So they already saw me as an actor writer. Yeah. So it wasn't, I think the thing it cost me is like, I started acting, I did Shakespeare in the Park, I did a bunch of things as an actor, but as my plays started working, as I started getting commissioned as a playwright, I was more excited to take those jobs than I was to do the acting. So my agency was like earning money off of me as an actor. And then once I started taking jobs as a writer, they weren't earning as much money as me because playwriting doesn't earn as much. So they were way less excited about my career as a writer, but I was way more excited about my career in that space. So they dropped me. And so it cost me kind of an agency. But then I just kept doing it. And then I got a new agency, so it was like, I was like, oh, we like that part. Yeah. So it kind of, I don't know.
Was your ego hurt when they dropped you initially?
Was my ego hurt? No, I think it was more, I didn't feel like, I didn't have the terminology for the fact that it wasn't a good fit. But I think that the things and the expectations that they had for me weren't realistic. They, like, I would go in and I would get called back or I would test for something, but because it was the recession, it would go to someone who was super famous. And then they would hold that against me. Like, oh, you tested for this, but look, this amazing actor, that has a whole following got it. And I actually like took that seriously, like, oh, I didn't do well, so it felt like a relief. And then when I look back, I was like, I was never up for those things. I was there in case 4 of those names said no.
Wow.
Because if you're casting them, it's because you need them. You need them for your marketing. You need them to get financing. You need them. Now knowing the industry, you're auditioning for them in case they all say no, and in case you can get the name on another role, and like you can't afford. So you're just kind of in the background.
You're giving us some insider stuff right here now. So
Sorry.
I know this is important because, as when you're on the acting side primarily, you're not writing, you're not producing, you don't know this side of the industry. All you know is that, hey, we have an appointment for you. And now everything is self-tape. And I'm assuming that most producers watch the audition tapes on their cell phone while they're on vacation somewhere, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they have interest and maybe they don't. We don't know. All we know is that there's a submission, you submit yourself, and then wait to hear back.
Yes.
And then you get to see who actually got the role. You go, oh, this person's been working in this and that, and this is not a unfamiliar face.
Yes. Yes.
So please extrapolate more on what those, I guess, I don't know, the process of, and just in case someone says no.
Yeah. So I think you have to kind of look at, and nobody does this because they don't even really teach this in film school. You have to look at the end to understand the beginning of a process, not from the writer's point of view. The writers are oftentimes, well, if you're a writer for hire, you're writing what somebody wants to sell. If you are just like a writer and you're like, oh my gosh, I have this amazing thing and I'm inspired by the story and I really have to tell it, and you're writing it on your own, that's like maybe the most artistically creative point because there's nothing attached to that. Mm-hmm. But if you want to see why a process got done, why a film got done, you have to look at the end of a film and how it's distributed. And that's not really taught. And how a film is distributed changes, and especially now it's changed a lot after COVID. Mm-hmm. Like traditionally it went into cinemas, people bought tickets, the investors recouped their costs that they put into it, millions of dollars, then hopefully somewhere on top, and everybody made a little bit of money, and then the film sells on DVDs, or then now it's then sold to a streamer, so actually even more money comes into that pot. Post-COVID disrupted all of distribution. So now that whole system of going into the cinemas and actually earning your money back is like non-existent unless you're like a Marvel movie or Sinners or something so big, and you're backed by studio marketing. Mm-hmm. Because the marketing costs that you need to get people into the cinemas is so expensive because you need more now. Mm-hmm. So you won't even cover your it's called P&A, press marketing costs, let alone if you can't even cover your press and marketing costs, let alone the cost it made to make the film. So the result of that means that you need to make your press and marketing costs more affordable. You need names that already have a following. And I'm not just talking about Instagram following. They have like a name following. And that allows for a film investor to say, oh, you know what? At least there's this many people that are going to try and come see this film because this person is in it. So at least I'm looking at some return on this very risky investment, because to invest in a film now is very risky. Right. If it can't earn its money back in the box and your only hope is to sell it to a streamer, and the streamers make their own content now because now they're own studios, it means they're buying like this many films. So it's so risky. And that's where the names come in. So they're like, oh, if I get this name or somebody at this caliber to at least take on some of these roles, the rest of the roles don't need to go to names. So what they do is they're like, with the artist, with the director, there's this dance of like trying to get a name, but the director's most likely trying to get an actor that really fits the role, that also gives the investors a name. And sometimes that is a fight. Like some directors are like, I don't care about the name. I really, they're art-based and they're like, no. But realistically, there is that game because the investors will pull out, and so you're trying to give one something somewhere, whether it's the co-stars because that's all you can afford, whether it's the lead, you're trying to put something somewhere to help the back end. And that's why actors might be called into audition for a role that's already being offered to name talent that carry a certain number of box office appeal or even streamer appeal, or like already carry a number with them, but they haven't signed on.
Right.
because there's their schedule, they don't know if it fits. There's all these pieces to the puzzle. So they're auditioning for that role on the side because they don't know if they might actually just cast from this pool of actors or they're going to get their names. And so usually they're auditioning, unless the name's attached, they're auditioning for every role like that. But if you don't get it and you see the name, it's because they've already made offers and they were waiting for someone to say yes. And then they're going to cast around that. Yes.
Is there any way around that for an actor that doesn't have that following? Let's say the actor says, all right, I know you're looking for a name, but I can give you X amount of dollars right up front just to be part of the project.
I don't know. I mean, yes, but then you're coming on as a financier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more like, yes, you could come in as a financier and say, I'm going to back this, right? But you're also going to want to look at your investment. Because you're going to suddenly be thrust into the same game, So it's like, I think it's more that anytime you're getting called back or you're in a director's session and you get called back by the director or in the writers, like you're being really considered for the role and you should just see that as the win. Because how it trickles out on the end isn't always even in the director's control. There's a lot of, tense discussions that are going to go into casting that film. And, not everybody's going to come out, investors, producers, directors, happy.
Yeah.
And so it's rare. I think the nice thing about my film, because I got a grant, is that pressure was taken off because there's no need to recoup the money because it came from a film fund in Italy and they're not asking for a recoupable amount. So I could cast any talent I wanted, which meant I could just cast based on the actor's auditions. But I was still conscious about I do need to sell the film in Ghana. So, but I definitely cast the best talent for the role. I didn't let that forego the fact that this person is the most the best fit for it. But oftentimes I've also seen that usually it's not like one person is the best fit for anything. It's usually there's 3 different options. And you're like, oh my gosh, if this person plays the role, this is this person. But if this person plays the role, this is this person. And if this person offers, and they bring this whole different human being to the part. And it's so hard to figure out which one you want to go with. And it usually comes to the matrix of if I put this person in this part and this person, does that.
It's just like trade-offs.
Yeah.
There's no real solution to.
There's no one person is the only fit. That's what I realized. It's there's always I always feel like there's 3 different strong versions of this part. One of them is going to do it, but all 3 would be amazing. They're just different.
Right.
Yeah.
You seem to have a good business state of mind when it comes to this. And primarily because you have been writing and producing and directing, what can you say to the trained actor out there who's a professional to approach their profession as the actor as a business? Is there a way to do that?
I always think having now done different roles, when a friend asks me to act in something, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
It's I think actors just need to have more fun. It is the most singular activity on that set. A director has to think there's so much. A writer has so much. The crew have so much. And it's an actor gets to solely bring one human being to life. They're not responsible for any other human being on that set. They're not responsible, meaning character, right? They're responsible for this one character and the inner life of that person. And that's what they're hired to do, is to make this person on the page become a human being. That's so fun, and it's exciting. And it's really in the unknown of walking in a set and getting to suddenly play and not know is actually really exciting, And I think sometimes I wish actors weren't afraid of that. They didn't, they sometimes you get actors and they want to control all the other process because they want to control how they look in the end. They want control of oh, that person isn't saying it that way. They need to stand here. You're no, you're losing all your fun. Your fun is that you don't control that. You get to just come on and interact and be that is so fun. Out of all the roles on that set, it is the most freeing, the most fun. So I'm always
So
like,
you have to,
don't lose that.
you just got to release. You just got to let go.
Let go. Like, it's not your job to worry about the edit. It's not your job to worry about the camera angle. It's really not your
Why
job
not?
to worry
It's
about
your
any of
image.
it, because you're there to just, that's not your job. Your job is literally to be that person.
Mhm.
And the rest of our job is to worry about that. We're worrying about the lighting. We're worrying about my edit as the director. We're worried about whether this cuts to this and and that your eye line is in set. We're worried about all of it. So you don't have to, and you get to just be that person and play.
Mhm.
That's what I would tell actors. Like, just play. Enjoy that moment, because it's really, the rest of it is out of your hands. The less an actor enjoys it, the more hard that process becomes for everybody else on set. Because they're like, I just need them to trust, like,
That's tough for a lot of actors, especially actors who are who have heard stories about actors who have a certain amount of power and in the industry who, like if you ever worked with this actor, he, wants things to be this way and
yeah, and you wish
Right.
that actor would stop. And you know what I mean? And everybody does. The other actors do. Everybody was like, I wish they would just trust and play. Like, play and trust and have fun and get back to your
Yeah.
goofy, excited kid self that was like curious and wondering, what is this going to be to play with this new person on set?
Yeah.
What is it to be with this new person, this character when they come in? And just be present. Like, everybody would love that process, including the guest actors coming on the set, so like that. It's harder in television. Television directors rotate, so the trust has to happen like this. So, but at the same time, I think it's just like, that's fun. And if in the end you come out and you watch it and you're like, this was garbage, it's not your fault. That's the other beautiful thing. If it sucks, it's everybody else. It's the director's fault, it's the writer's fault, it's the producer's. It might be the network because they recut the whole damn thing.
Right.
We didn't have any power. Like, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
And no one will really blame you. So it's like, I think that is also the gift, and that's the protection that the actors get. So I wish that they just saw it, had way less fear, and just everybody just had more fun in it.
That's good. I've never heard that perspective. But the actor has to get there first, right? So what would you say to the actor that's going through grad school now or any training program, and they're not in the industry yet, they haven't auditioned, and then that's a lot of fear. Then like, man, I have to audition and send self-tapes in. It was different for us. We were able to go inside the room and actually have an atmosphere of performing and trying to get that role, sometimes even with the director being in there.
I think it's harder now because I think there is more of the outside eye, your outside eye having to watch yourself. Like, I think, again, that process of just coming in and being the person and not worrying about your edit, that's not your job.
Right.
And it's never going to be your job. But yet now you're being asked to have that be your job. That's hard, because it does take away a bit of that play, because you're like, oh, my face looked like that. Or, oh, I said it that way. That's the death. Like, it is, because you're really just looking to come in. That same process that you're going to have on set, I would say, is the same process that you should have in the audition. Like, come in and just have fun and love being this character. If your character is there to off someone, like, enjoy offing that person, like, because
what they call unaliving,
like, just enjoy it. And it'll show on the other end, and that's all you can do. Like, to think, producers, all these people watch these auditions. Really, they do. They watch almost all of them. I mean, I think what I hate is when casting directors filter the auditions for me, when they only show me the ones they like. That drives me crazy.
Oh,
Because
really?
I'm like, the people you like are usually not the people I like. I like the quirky, the off, the ones that like did this thing, and I'm like, what is that? That they didn't say it the way you thought it should be said. Like, I like those people, and those are the ones that usually get filtered out. So, but you can always ask to see the whole session, and you're going to kind of come in, and I don't have any idea whether they give you like epic amounts of sides, because we're not watching that many sides. We're going to watch maybe the first minute to 30 seconds to a minute, and you can kind of see whether someone you should continue to watch, because you're like, oh, this person's a part. Oh, this is a stretch, So like, that's kind of But they do watch,
So
they are being watched.
in that first 30 seconds, what do you want to see?
I just want to see someone come in and make a choice, like a strong convicted choice for that character. Like not trying to think like, what do they want? It's more like, who would I want to play? Like, what is my artistic choice for this person? There's no tricks to that. It's just that they made a bold choice and they fully embodied it.
Mm-hmm.
And they look like they're not smiling, but they're committing to it. Like it's them,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of all it is. And then you'd flag that person. You give a little heart or a little check, because you're just like, oh, because so many people don't do that.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing, is they come in and they look like they're reading lines, or they come in and it looks like they're trying to do an obedient version. And then you suddenly get this opening sentence sounding the same way on every single actor's audition, because they're like, this is the way it should sound. This is the way a person would say it if they were here. This is the way I've heard people say it. This is the way a TV show like this does it.
Right.
And you're suddenly like, why is everyone saying these lines the same? And then you get this person that comes in and just does their own thing, and it's slightly different, and you're like, oh. And you mark them, and then you're down to only like 10 people, and then you keep watching. And yeah, so that's just my only advice.
Interesting. Very interesting, because you're told to, when you get a role, is to know the style of the show or film you're doing. Oh yeah, and this is a film that's kind of like a Pulp Fiction. This is like a Law and Order. Be intense and get quiet on this part, or
but then you're like, literally everyone will do that because you're all smart, especially in New York.
Right.
Actors are intelligent, so they're like, they'll all start doing like the Law and Order version of the reading, and it's like everyone sounds the same, but it's like the person will come in and just do something different. They'll add the dun and the music behind, and they'll cut it. Like, again, that's not your job. They'll make it in line. The DP will light it. Like, they're in charge of keeping the vibe of the show.
Right.
But you can come in and do whatever you want,
Mm-hmm.
That's not, you don't have to worry about that. It's not your job.
I think that's a major key. It's not your job. Stick to your role.
It's just like, your role's so fun.
Yeah.
Why would you take on the responsibility of all these people who are having to do that job?
Because you're the lowest. You're kind of like the lowest on the totem pole there. Like, as an actor,
No, you're not.
Why not?
Because they're protecting you. Actors are the most protected people on set.
In what way?
In that they put you in very comfortable surroundings. It's comfortable. Like, if you're thinking your paddy wagon or your honey wagon is not comfortable, think about that. Means the rest of the set is more uncomfortable. Like, if you're in a holding room in a basement, the rest of everyone else is suffering much worse. Like, they're gonna try and give you the most comfortable. They want you to come in and do your job the best. So like, everybody on that set is trying to protect your craft. Nobody on that set is trying to protect anybody else's craft except for maybe the directors.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. And everybody else was working tooth and nail against the odds to make their craft happen. So that's why I'm like, from the other side, you're like, wow, actors are the most protected people on a set. And that's not to say that fucked up shit doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's just like, if it's happening to the actors, then it's really bad. Like, it's really bad for everybody else, because it's like, that is your guest.
Right.
And they have to be they're going to bring the humans to life, that you're all there to set up a shot, to walk these human beings in and interact with each other. Like, you don't want to set up that shot, and then you made the worst environment for them to do their jobs in. You'd be there forever, all day, trying to get the stuff, so they're trying.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Last question. In one sentence, how would you define success? Not compared to where you were when you started.
How do I define success? I don't know. That's an interesting question, because I think when I was graduating, again, most of my class had an idea of success being like, I'm coming out and I'm going to achieve this level of fame or notoriety as an actor, right? I'm not sure how many would have that same goal. I think some have done that, and that is not their goal anymore. It's like, how do you consistently get to make work that you're proud of? How do you consistently get to live and be an artist? And sometimes that comes with the level of notoriety to keep your career going.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not about the fame anymore or the recognition. It's more about the longevity and the ability to feed yourself. I think my success is more tied to like each project getting to have I think of them as my art babies. And I'm like, if this project can get its life, get the full life that it deserves, if this project can get to see this life, like I feel like that's success. And then outside of that, it's also like being a mom, like there's so many other, like having a life that I enjoy, like waking up and feeling fulfilled, like that has not always tied to my career as an artist at all. And those are not separate things, but they're just like, I wouldn't want to give up somewhere being an artist, but sometimes the life, other stuff takes the wheel and that's fulfilling. And then sometimes it's the art that's driving, taking the lead on this part and that's fulfilling. And I feel like if I can continue having a life where I can earn a living in my art while, being a decent parent.
You always wanted to be a mom?
No.
Really?
I didn't no, I never set out to be a mom. I didn't even plan my first pregnancy, but I just rolled with it. I was like, all right, this is what I'm supposed to do now.
Was that part of the having fun?
I just, I just don't make 10-year career goals. Those vision boards?
Yeah.
I always showed up to those vision board parties and never made one. I was there for the vibes, the social aspect, and for the sip and craft. I wasn't there. The vision board just for me felt like a setup for failure. I feel like this is what I want to do, and then I don't do it. And I look back and I'm like, wow. I was just like, I'm here to socialize. I come out with a heart on my vision board. No craft done. I was just there for the vibes. But they help. I also see how it helps people. Yeah, like some people really need them. And so, that's me. But I didn't have it on my radar. I felt very fulfilled being an artist. As I said, I felt like each time I'm creating something, it feels like a baby. The amount of time and effort and cultivation it takes to get it to exist feels like a lot. So I didn't have it on my radar, but once it was on there, I was like, okay.
How did it, if you don't mind me asking, how did it get on your radar?
I was in Woodstock with my husband. We drank a lot of wine.
No. Before though, I was like, how did you meet your husband?
A dating app.
Oh, yeah? Really?
Yeah. I was doing a show. I was directing a show about dating apps, but hadn't been on one.
Oh,
so I joined one.
Look at that.
I let him know, like, hey, I'm on here doing research. Would you engage with me on this app so I can see how it works? He was like, yes. Then he came to the show. We then just became friends. And then in the friendship, I was like, yo, that algorithm was right. I like this guy.
I tried to write a story about
I didn't revisit.
You're going to play within a play or whatever. Like,
yeah.
That's amazing.
And then we ended up married with 2 kids.
You have 2 kids now.
I do.
How old are they?
5 and 2.5.
Wow, you're a mom.
I'm a mom.
Wife.
And a wife.
And you have a film premiering in Ghana.
I have a film that's premiering in Ghana in September 19th.
And I'd have to go to Ghana to see it?
Unfortunately, yes, because we're trying to sell it. Distribution is so bad right now. I can't sell it. I'm trying so hard.
That's a whole nother brainchild, right?
Distribution. I wouldn't try and sell, do this. I would I learned a lot doing this film this way. The next projects I'm pursuing, I'm trying to learn from my mistakes, and look at distribution much earlier than when we looked at it, which was after the film was released in a major festival. So, I just wouldn't do that the same way. But it's also kind of just the state of it is just really hard right now. And a film like ours, like 5 years ago, would have come out and found a home. And films that have bigger celebrities and bigger names and bigger accolades are not finding homes. So my small little film, if it can find one, I'd be very happy. I'll be content.
That's
But
good.
I'm glad it's getting a theatrical release.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm really happy it'll run in cinemas because it's stunning in cinemas. It was made for cinema.
Really?
Yes. And I really hope to sell it to a streamer, but watching it on television is nowhere near the beautiful experience of seeing these shots of like fishermen going out to sea and the sunrise. Like it's gorgeous.
Yes.
It's stunning.
What's the show? What's the movie about?
It's a comedy fantasy about this traditional Ghanaian fisherman who goes out to sea one day. He's forced into retirement and he partners with this bougie talking fish. And they go on this crazy buddy comedy into Accra, these Gen Z associates. And yeah, it's
You wrote it?
yeah, it's super funny. It's super funny. It's kind of moving. Some people cry sometimes. It's incredibly beautiful.
Mhm.
VP did a beautiful job. And
What inspired you to write this story?
when I was younger, I had lived in Cape Town, which is in the Volta region, and it's a fishing village in Ghana. And so I think the seed was kind of planted there, but I've been watching the country rapidly develop, especially in the last couple of years. And I was thinking, there's this traditional aspect to Ghana and there's this modernization, and the two aren't really fighting each other, but there's questions about the things that you're giving up so quickly and the things that you're embracing. And I was just interested in talking about this older generation and how, you're never too old to pursue a dream against this like rapidly developing country that isn't looking to them anymore. And that's not the way that culture's set up. So I thought, let's explore that. Let's pose the question. I don't have answers. You just see how it unfolds as he goes on this crazy adventure.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on all of this, on the family, on the marriage. How many years now?
Oh God, I have to do math.
Oh,
Maybe
you're gonna get in
7
trouble for
years.
this one. 7 years.
Maybe 8 years. What year is
She
it?
said maybe 7, maybe 8.
Oh, so it's 7 years. No, 8 years.
That's okay. We can edit this out.
8 years
This year.
this year.
It's already happened. The 8-year anniversary,
No, next month. No,
August.
no, it's going to be 9 years in August.
9 years in August. August what?
Yeah, he won't be offended. He totally would know I'd be using my fingers to count. We've been married for almost 9 years.
That's good.
He no surprises that I was sitting there going, well, sorry, more. Really, she's not retaining any of that. I guess, yeah, we got some skin. I guess some skin in the game.
Yeah,
Just doing our lives.
that's great. And he's not in the business.
Absolutely not.
Good for you.
He's like, why would anyone get into this business? At first, it was like magical, but he was like, oh my gosh, you guys put in so much effort, so much work with so little like return on the investment or like known return on the investment,
right.
And
Yeah.
he's like, so I think he's just so blown away by people that do it.
It's like what they call in the stock market the unapplied gains.
Yes, yeah, because it is. It's so out of your hands,
Yeah.
but the amount of energy and work, like you have to become your own business, like you as an actor, same. It's so much, and usually if you put that much in, you'd probably see some, like at least some return on
No,
something.
you would.
Yeah.
Listen, in pest control, and I just did a termite job today before this, and it took me 3 hours. I'm just working solo, just myself, and I used what do you call it, a mattock, or to dig trenches on the side of a building. And then I had to treat the inside as well, and had to drill holes with a hammer drill inside. So the amount of pressure and, on the triceps and the arms and the back in the hot sun it's a heat wave here now. But I'm happy doing it because I know how much this job is actually worth.
Yeah, there's end results.
There's an end result. There's a check that's going to come back to me for doing it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I as I've gotten older, I'm always evaluating that. And then my wife, she's like, you can't stop acting. You can't stop.
You can stop for a while. Like you're never not going to be an actor.
Yeah.
Like that's the beauty of it is like I think women feel like, oh, I'm aging out of, fine, you age out of being an ingenue, but like, are those the best parts anyway?
No.
So it's just like, but you can always act. It's always going to be there. you'll have to re-enter, you'll have to re-audition, but it's not going anywhere. Like the art is always there, so it's not, I don't know, it's not as, I see art as such a fluid thing. Like, and then every time you step away, you're gaining all this life experience to put back in. Like, it's not like you really stepped away because you're an artist, it's, at least that's what I tell myself, because I had to have kids and I lost jobs because I was pregnant, like I had to be like, well, it's just experience,
That's it. It is.
But it is like having kids made me a much deeper artist.
Yeah.
More chill director.
Yeah.
It's not that one doesn't not feed the other.
Right. It's almost like a lifelong journey.
That's good. And starving is hard.
It's like,
it is. Starving and working from a place of scarcity is very, very hard. And I don't think that people would say it creates the best mental environment. It doesn't create the best artistic environment, maybe the best auditions. It just doesn't. It creates desperation, fear, anxiety. And these are all things I've had as an artist, right? So finding out how you can sustain yourself, I think, is actually very important. I think it helps just ground people in a place of not feeling so anxious, fear, it's important. I don't think we put enough stock in that when we go through these programs.
You're right.
That it's okay to have a side job because that is part of it.
Right. No, you have to, you need it.
Yeah, you need to eat, you need to figure out how to live, rent's expensive. Like these are all things that are real,
I never understood how coming out of grad school, people would say, I'm going to go do a off-Broadway show and get paid $250 a week.
I think that was my hard lesson coming out, was like, I think I remember having to say no to some, like, the off-Broadway houses that are so small, but they're like the starters.
Yes.
Like, you're like, that's an amazing gig. And I had to say no to like 3 of them to take regional jobs that everyone was like, don't do it. And I was like, I don't have a family that can support me. I'm the oldest in it. So it's like I have all these younger siblings and one parent, so it's just didn't have the money.
Right.
And realistically, I did not have the money to float being on a really small off-Broadway gig. So I would take the regional, like 1,000 change a week job because I needed it, and I could sublet my home. But that didn't help build that staying in New York type career, So
no.
I saw the exchange, definitely.
So theaters, like I tell people that I think theater is a privilege. Like you have to be in a position of privilege to take a role that pays you less than what is needed for you to survive.
Especially once taxes are taken out and then agent fees and equity. Like, you come home like 182. That was like what you actually were taking home, 186.
Yes. And you're doing the craft.
A week.
Yeah.
And they're asking for months. It's not like you're doing this for 4 weeks. You're doing this for months. Like, how are you going to get your rent for the next month? Like, that is...
Right. And you can't really take a side... You can't take
a side job when you're doing... because even if you're... No, exactly.
Yeah.
Rehearsals,
it's every day, all day until the show.
And then you're doing the daytime.
Yeah.
So you need a night job, right? And then once the show goes up, you're doing nighttime.
Yeah.
You need I'm going to switch jobs. What?
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It's like an impossible feat.
No, I mean, that was one of the things I said. I having a family coming out of grad school, I was like, I need to be able to make money.
Yeah, that's got to be hard.
I can't take a job that's paying me that amount of money a week just so I can, level up and
build a credit.
Yeah. I think that then it has to be some change in that space, or it's just...
I think they just don't have the money to do it. Like, some of those houses don't, like, if you're earning that at the public, like...
Yeah.
Well, let's have a discussion.
Yeah. They've increased it a little.
No, they've increased it because they're like, we can.
Right.
Like, but if you're in some of those small houses, which are those building houses, right? Like, they don't have the money.
Right.
They just don't. They're like barely getting by on a season. So it's just like...
So then that's not really a good business model.
Well, theater isn't a good business model because the ticket sales don't equate to the cost. They're just being subsidized by grants.
Right.
So there's no business in theater unless it's a commercial run on Broadway or a commercial run with investors, but like theater really is, that's what I learned with the theater company, is like, we have to subsidize it with grants, but that's not real.
Right.
That's free money. You know, like just to be able to pay people to sell tickets, or you sell tickets for hundreds of dollars and no one can afford them and you can't get an audience. So it's like,
Right.
it's not a sustainable business model. It really isn't. I think it's hard that like you don't want to tell people that, you don't want to disillusion people, but like that actually is the business model, right? Is that it's not a succeeding ticket sale to like, no one would say that's a successful business. Be like,
No one in
you
business.
have to take donors just to make your seat. Yeah, no one would say, but they do it, you know, because it's a place where ideas can get shared, where humanity can see itself. It's like the arts are important.
They are. Yeah.
But not important enough to be able to have a successful business model, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has to look at their, their bottom line at the end of the day. But
I think it would be crazy if someone, like, if you see an artistic director earning, like, everybody should be working within tandem of what that is, right? I think if you're seeing someone that's earning like millions of change, you're like, you need to pay people more. You need a little less, like one or the other stuff.
Like that's a lot of non-for-profits work like that.
That's why that part is where you're like, the union should lean in.
Yeah.
Say, let's look at the books.
Right.
Like, and then there's places where even the artistic directors have side jobs, and I think then you have to realize actors going into that space, like, this is what this is, and you sign up for it or you don't. Like, you get a choice. Yeah,
because it's kind of like you're volunteering in a way.
Exactly.
Everybody's volunteering. It's a little stipend
for your efforts and your energies.
Right.
Transportation. Maybe a meal. Maybe a cell phone bill.
Well, that's how it worked in undergrad. It was like, hey, we're gonna go perform at this prison. They're gonna feed us. Yeah. Like, okay. We gotta get a meal.
Yeah.
So I'm terrified because it's a prison, but hey,
meal.
It's a meal. Hey, we'll work for food.
We'll work for food. Yeah. So I think, you have the choice of engaging in it.
Yeah.
I think but that's hard to understand, I think, when you graduate.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the choice is actually yours, weirdly enough.
Yeah. No, you can't. You need to know before you leave, any training program, especially grad school, like, what are you going to do? Like, actually to stay afloat, to not just survive, but to provide for yourself or your family, and also be able to get what you came to grad school for. You know what I mean? Like, what did you put in the work and what you're going to get out of it? I knew I wasn't going to be doing a lot of those small off-Broadway houses. I just couldn't afford to do it. And then, but others who are single and, have a low overhead, go right ahead and do it. It's great. This is not a race. We're not, all like, who's going to get there first? Similar to what you said, it's like a lifelong journey of, picking up experiences as you go along and getting back on track to it. It'll always be here. And I think that's a major, major key.
Yeah.
So out of all the alums I've met and had like at least some sort of rapport with, whenever I've asked for anything, whether it's advice, whether it's to come in and do this, the answer's been yes.
Oh, good.
And I appreciate that.
Well, I think I love NYU actors because they're just so game.
Yeah.
And they're always like, they're so game. And I mean, like, that idea of enjoying it?
Yeah.
I feel like you cast an NYU grad actor and they're always showing up in that way. Whether they are, no matter what's going on in their lives, there's a show up that's like, I get to do this today.
Yeah.
Like, it's exciting. Yeah, it's enjoyable. Like, it's, I don't know.
You think it's an NYU thing?
Yes.
We're not going to talk about any other schools, but I think it is too.
But I think it's an NYU thing that's just like an enjoyment in the craft of getting to be present, getting invited to the party.
Right.
Just being there and getting to play.
Yeah.
And whether that is that person outside of that space, they are that person when they show up to work. And that's really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, people, that's it for today's session here in the waiting room. If you got something out of this conversation and you find value in this content, whether it made you laugh, think, or take notes, don't just keep it to yourself. Share this episode with a friend who's grinding toward their own dream. And make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next drop. And if you're on YouTube, smash that like and the ring bell so the algorithm knows we're bringing the heat. On Apple Podcasts and Spotify, leave a review. It's free, it takes 30 seconds, and it helps this show reach more folks like you. Until next time, I'm Rashad Edwards reminding you the wait is never wasted when you're working on your craft and yourself. See you in the next one. Peace.